Hello everyone. It's time to get started with our Midco advertising webinar, Delivering ROI with Ad Targeting and Reporting. First, let's take care of some general housekeeping. Participants are all automatically muted. If you do have a technical issue, please submit it via the Q&A window on the right side of your screen. Use the drop-down to select the host rather than the panelist. We'll have a Q&A session at the end of our presentation today. You can submit a question anytime during the presentation or at the end. Just be sure you're using the Q&A window on your screen. Use the drop-down to send your question directly to the panelists rather than to the host. Also, this webinar is being recorded and we'll send a link out via email later this week. I'd also like to say thanks to everyone who's joining us today from across the region. We look forward to providing you with insights on what sophisticated advertising looks like, how it gives you up-to-date analytics, and how to find an advertising partner that can give you that and more. First, I'd like to introduce myself and the other presenters that are joining us today. My name is Lexi Frankman, and I'm an advertising sales consultant here at Midco. I have more than 15 years of experience creating and executing advertising strategies for businesses in nearly every industry. I'm joined by Andrew Uni, a local digital media consultant. For 5+ years, Andrew has worked with local businesses, agencies, and national brands to plan and execute digital advertising campaigns. While Andrew began his career working with Fortune 500 companies, he now spends his time consulting local businesses in technologies and strategies that have delivered proven results through digital advertising. And Amy Engett is also a Midco advertising sales consultant. She's been with Midco for 11 years and has enjoyed working with digital advertising over the last 3 years because of the ever-evolving solutions. She brings with her knowledge and expertise that can help clients achieve even their most complex advertising goals. To give you a quick background about Midco, we serve more than 32,000 business customers and have 6 main service lines for businesses, including our advertising services for 1,100 customers. Our cable TV and digital advertising solutions include strategy, creative design and production, scheduling, placement, and reporting. We specialize in seamlessly integrating your cable TV and digital advertising strategies together. That way, we ensure that your ads work in sync cohesively while providing you with the measurable results you deserve. Plus, when your business succeeds, so does our community, and we want that to happen. One part about working with Midco is that you see us out in the community sponsoring various organizations and events. We're giving back whenever we can because it's our community too. Today, our goal is to give you some tools and tips you can use when navigating the digital ad landscape. In the digital world, there are 3 main ways you can reach people: search, social, and the broader web. Search advertising includes pay-per-click ads that appear in search engine results. Social ads appear in social media news feeds and can be managed by an ads manager on the platform. We specialize in what's called the broader web category, encompassing thousands of publisher websites all across the web. We know what you're thinking. How can you possibly reach across thousands and thousands of websites successfully? It starts with using something called programmatic marketing. Programmatic marketing is an automated purchase of advertising inventory in real time for the opportunity to show an ad to a specific customer in a specific context. Essentially, we use a sophisticated programmatic tool to find your clients or customers using a vast amount of audience data. We're looking to get the right message to the right audience at the right time. We target people demographically, geographically, and through psychographics, also known as audience interest. That way, we can make sure your ads reach where they already are. In addition to defining programmatic advertising, I want to also take a minute to talk about a few other buzzwords that you might be hearing throughout today's presentation. Display advertising are the image ads that appear on websites. Pre-roll refers to short video ads that play before full-length online videos. Advertisers can also set up online geofences or virtual geographic boundaries. Geofences allow you to pinpoint consumers within a certain geographical footprint. And if they're using an app with active location sharing turned on, they'll see your ad on their device. We have customers use geofences to target people who are visiting a neighboring competitor's business. For example, if you're Home Depot, you may want to send ads to people that are shopping at Lowe's. That way, if they hop on their phone while shopping, they'll see an ad from you, the Home Depot. Retargeting or remarketing uses a small piece of website code that allows your ads to follow your website visitors around while they're browsing other websites, so that they keep your brand top of mind even after leaving your site. And we're excited to share that Connected TV is a brand new product for Midco. Connected TV, or CTV, refers to TVs that connect to the internet via a streaming device. This includes devices such as Roku, Apple TV, smart TVs, and others. These devices allow users to stream online content such as live sports, TV shows, and movies. Midco is able to place advertising on these programs, so now you can reach your audience on yet another screen. Think of it as an extension to your television buy. It's just a new way to reach any audience across any screen. But it also helps target that hard-to-reach younger audience that may not subscribe to traditional TV. And with those definitions, I'm going to hand things over to Andrew, who's going to go into more detail about the value of programmatic advertising. Plus, he'll give you a demo of our platform, what it can all do for you, and how you, the advertiser, can access the automatically updated dashboard.
Thanks, Lexi. Hold tight, everyone. We're just going to transition over to the dashboard. And we should all be able to see that now. Okay, as Lexi mentioned, one of our pieces that we offer within our digital campaigns is reporting. This dashboard that you see in front of you is actually something that, as a client of Midco, you have access to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The data that's inside here is accurate and it's updated nightly. It also shows everything from the good to the bad and the ugly. It's really about going through there and identifying what's worked for you and what is working, and just as importantly, what's not. To us, the two main points of this reporting dashboard really came down to two things: transparency and measurable results. With transparency, it really means having a clear line of sight down to the last impression and answering the question, did I get what I paid for? With measurable results, to us, this answers the question, what impact did my digital campaign actually have? So from our first login on the dashboard, we get what I would call a 30,000-foot view. We want to be able to check in on our campaign, make sure that it's running in the proper geography down to the zip code level for our targeting. We also want it to break down by product to know how many impressions, clicks, and view-throughs gave us a total number of visits. And view-throughs are simply folks who do not click on an ad but end up on our website within a 30-day period. We also want to make sure, as we evaluate our targeting, that we're also running the right creative, that we have it and we can compare it and measure it individually to get a good sense of, again, what's working and what's not. With video, we want to make sure that we're also tracking our impressions, but also our completion rates as they run. As we take a deeper dive into each product, we really want to continue on that line of transparency and make sure that where we're running does have the correct creative. We want to be able to evaluate our creative to see where it stops and how many people completed each view. We also want to make sure that we are on premium content providers. Make sure that we're touching people across all platforms and devices, and be able to break down our impressions and completion rates by day and by week. From a geographic standpoint, we provide a heat map. This way we can actually get a great visual of where we're finding more and less of our audience and having a better opportunity to reach them. From geography, we also want to break it down by city to have conversations about where our budgets are going. Within our display product, aside from getting those top content providers, we also want to make sure that we're going through each website one by one down to the impression level to make sure that we're on brand safe, brand building content providers. Again, just as important with connected TV is to make sure that we're going across all devices and reaching our audience across all screens. With screenshots, we want to be able to provide anybody who needs co-op funds or simply needs to preview their ad to make sure that it's being trafficked properly, a screenshot that they can see in the wild of their ad. Again, with geographic performance, we want to have conversations about where our budgets are going, what's working, and again, what can we improve on? Pre-roll as well, we want to touch on all of those factors, and again, evaluate our creative, make sure that the publishers that we're running on, we can account for every impression, and again, make sure that they are brand safe and brand building content providers. Moving past transparency and diving into measurable results, as marketers, and especially in the digital ecosystem, it can be very difficult to understand which benchmark you should be shooting for. We've come out with digital lift. Lift has been around for a long time. Back in the 50s, television stations would go out and they would run commercials in two similar markets. One would have a certain ad and the other one would have a different ad. If sales went up in a given market, they would consider that positive lift. With digital lift, we can use the exact same market to go through and evaluate your actual impact. Within lift, what we're tracking are all devices that come to your website or landing page. Within that, we separate those users into two groups. One group was exposed to a digital ad. The other, our baseline group, was not exposed to a digital ad. Between those two groups, we want to look at the visit rate of each one individually and then compare the difference in between those that have seen or were exposed to an ad and those that were not. The difference in between those two visit rates is digital lift. This allows us to not look at benchmarks from across the country, but our own campaign and our own efforts in our given geography. From there, we can also break it down by month, highlight just our exposed audience if we like, just our baseline, and the lift of each month. We also tie it geographically because a lot of times we can find great insights simply based off of our geography and the census data behind that. Did I have the right message? Did that message produce as high of a lift as it should? And what are the geographical and demographic makeups behind those? And from there, I'm going to go ahead and switch the screens back so I can pass it over to Amy. And Amy's going to talk about finding an ad partner who can give you these analytics and this level of transparency.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. It's really great to see what our clients have total access to and understand some of the specific dashboard stats, such as lift reporting. Well, I'm very excited to talk about finding an advertising partner that you can trust and how to know that they can help you achieve your goals. So tip number one, choose local. Local advertising consultants are your boots on the ground. We know the local and regional market and audience, allowing us to make informed, insightful advertising suggestions. And it's even the little things too, such as knowing the local weather forecast. Chance of heavy snow that might affect your sale or open house. Local consultants will be there to tighten up or shorten your campaign so you're not wasting campaign dollars. Plus, local consultants are there for you, and we don't just mean theoretically. When you're working with a consultant who's nearby, you'll benefit from more in-person one-on-one time, allowing you to develop a solid, trusted relationship. Tip number two, get more than numbers. A true consultant isn't one who is just going to churn out numbers on a monthly basis. A good consultant is going to first make sure that your reporting is not only understood, but that it's also meeting expectations and available for you anytime you need it. From knowing display placements to calculating ROI, transparency is key. Tip number 3, build from the ground up. Just like you did when you started your business, you need to start at the foundation. For us, that means starting with really, really good creative design and direction. We have the benefit, too, of being able to do everything in-house, making the process easier since it's all under one roof. In fact, we can sometimes launch new digital campaigns in as little as 3 days. After you've got a solid creative foundation built with your advertising partner, they can take it from there to schedule and place your ads. Tip number 4, remember the big picture. When sitting down with a potential digital advertising partner, it's easy to get swept up in the technical terms and fancy features. Remembering that your advertising strategy is more than just digital is important to keep in mind. Working with a well-rounded partner like Midco can help you tie together your digital ads with your cable TV ads. This will ultimately benefit your business in the long run because it will give you a cohesive feel across platforms. Okay, so maybe you've got a few things to think about when it comes to finding a new ad provider. Now let's pretend you're getting ready to meet with a potential partner. What do you ask them during the meeting to know if they are what you're looking for? We recommend asking these types of questions to determine whether or not they're a potential match. A question such as, where is your company based out of? May seem simple, but it's a good way to determine if they're a local company, a larger company with a local office, or a larger company without a local office, meaning everything will be done remotely. Then follow up to see if they ever want to meet face-to-face and how often they plan to make the trip to see you. Asking about how their team is structured can also help you give you insight about how quickly they can turn around requests, and it will give you a general idea of how many people you may be coordinating with. For example, a question such as, what does your creative team look like, and do you ever outsource your production, can help you determine if they have all in-house staff or if they sometimes rely on a third party to complete or place ads. Determining what your reporting will look like in advance can also help your ads be successful in the long run. You'll be more in the know and have a better understanding of how your campaign results will be communicated. This goes back to what I said earlier about transparency. Asking questions about specific reporting calculations and reporting dashboards during discovery can help set expectations early on. Okay, so let's say they're a great match. Now what? Well, hopefully you have success stories like the ones we're going to share next.
Thanks, Amy. When you do successfully find an ad partner that you can trust, good things will happen. We've compiled a few mini testimonials from 3 of our digital advertising customers, starting with Intech Cleaning and Restoration. Intech Cleaning and Restoration is a full-service, professional cleaning and restoration company based in southeastern South Dakota with locations in Sioux Falls and Yankton. Intech wanted to increase their brand awareness online. After consulting with us, we decided to launch a series of pre-roll video campaigns throughout 2018 since they've seen success with their cable TV ads. First, it had to be the right video. Midco had previously created a 30-second spot for TV, so our production team got to work cutting that down to 15 seconds so that it worked for pre-roll. The result? Intech's click-through rate for the last 3 months is 0.24%. To give you a frame of reference, the current national average is only 0.07%. What really matters is that they've also seen an increase in web visitors, and visitors are engaging with their site. Midco ad-driven visitors were staying on the site for nearly a minute, showing that they're processing the content that they're landing on. We also ran an employment campaign that led to multi-page site engagement, with visitors clicking down 2 to 3 different page paths. Our next case study, Williston Auto, Butte Subaru, and Butte Toyota, all have one thing in common. Their ads are managed by Imagination Design Studios, a local agency that partners with Midco to place and report on their digital display ads, as well as create any video production. Located in smaller rural towns, these dealerships were having trouble reaching their audience through traditional media outlets alone, as there are so few in the area, especially in Butte, Montana. The solution? Digital advertising that allows them to target down to the zip code, so you can reach people in hard-to-reach places. Plus, their ads are front and center when a competitor's customer is seeking online information in the area. And perhaps the best part for Lynn at Imagination Design Studios has been the ability to provide her clients with up-to-date results whenever they want them through our platform dashboard, complete with exact ad placement data. Amy, I'll let you take the next one.
Sure. The last case study we'd like to share with you comes from one of my clients, Bergstrom Cars. Bergstrom Cars has 3 separate dealerships in Devils Lake, North Dakota, and while their dealerships may be open from 8 to 6, they know that their customers are shopping around the clock. That's why they decided to make digital advertising a priority in June of 2018 and will be continuing efforts in 2019. Bergstrom Cars runs strategically timed and placed digital display advertising through our advertising platform. They also rely on Midco's creative team to produce and design ads that are dynamic, eye-catching, and clever. By running digital ads with remarketing, Bergstrom Cars has increased brand awareness while setting themselves apart from the competition with professionally designed ads. And I'm going to hop back over to Andrew so we can show you some examples of ads that our customers have used for campaigns. Chances are, if you're in the area, you've probably seen a few of these online.
This is an example of a pre-roll ad that we've done. It can also be used on connected TV, the Rokus and Apple TVs out there. This is for Intech Clean. This next one is for Williston Auto. This is an example of the banner ads and display creative that we create. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Amy.
All right. Well, that wraps up our formal presentation for the morning, and now it's time to jump into some Q&A with the questions that you've submitted via the Q&A section. If you previously submitted your question via the participant chat, please resubmit via Q&A or we might miss it. All right, let's get started here with our first question. And one of the questions here we see is, how exactly do we get access to the dashboard? Andrew, do you want to take that question for us?
Yeah, absolutely, Amy. As far as getting access to your dashboard, that is provided by your consultant, your local Midco consultant that you'd be working with. They will go ahead and provide you with a username and password about 24 to 72 hours after a campaign starts, once we have some data within the dashboard. And then from there, you've got access to it anytime you want to check in on it, or anytime you have a consultant stop by to review the campaign, you'll be able to look at the exact same data that the consultant has access to, which really allows everyone and all parties to have informed conversations about what's working and those things that we can improve on.
All right, and now we'll get into some other common questions that we hear from customers from time to time. How much budget should I put toward my digital advertising?
Yeah, and that's a great question as well. You know, one of the most common questions that we have when it comes out is very much on the same line, right? Is, hey, what's going to be effective for me? One of the differentiators that Midco has as well in its tool belt is we do look at reach and frequency across the greater web to make sure that your target audience is the right size. And from there, we can determine a budget. It really comes down to how many people are in my target audience, what's the quantity of that, and then how many ads do I need to make sure that I can stay top of mind and have brand and ad recall as we go through with display and pre-roll.
Thanks, Andrew. It looks like we have another question here. We have a question that asks, where can I place my digital ads, just locally or anywhere in the world?
Yeah, great question. As far as the geography goes, you can place it anywhere for the most part around the world. There are obviously some countries that do not allow kind of foreign entities to be able to place ads there. And there's also a lot of countries that aren't quite as robust as North America would be. You know, the United States has probably the most third-party and first-party data that you can leverage to target audiences. As you get out and even get into places such as Australia, the UK, that can be a little bit more limited simply because of different privacy agreements and things like that across those countries. But to answer your question, you can pretty much target anybody globally.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay, we have another question. When measuring results on a pre-roll ad, do you measure a view as a completion even if the user clicks to skip it?
Yeah, great question. No, we do not. We would not count that as a view. That would be considered an impression served. But as far as was it a completed view, we track that. We actually break them down into quartiles. So you can see how many users made it 25% of the way, 50% of the way, 75%, and then as well that 100% completion. And that really allows us to sit down, evaluate our creative, and say, did I actually get my message out before my audience started to drop off? And, you know, I think one of the best examples of people getting their message out up front, right, is Geico, right? The first 5 seconds, message and brand is out. The next, 7 seconds to 8 seconds is pretty much just a comedy routine. But evaluating that and understanding that is extremely important. To answer your question, we count those completions separately, and then we'll also give you all of the quartile numbers as well.
Thanks, Andrew. That's a really great explanation. My clients love being able to track that data. Okay, we have another question that says, can you explain geofencing a bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do that. And this actually might not be a bad time. Why don't we show you how that works? And just give me a second and I can switch back to my screen. All righty. So within geofencing, let's just take one step back. When we go out there and you target geographically, and this could be from social avenues, right, like Facebook, it could be through search, right, like Google AdWords, and also on the greater web, we're able to target by zip code because of the infrastructure that exists. That infrastructure are ISP providers such as Midco, carriers, right, like Verizon, Sprint, AT&T. They have all mapped this stuff out via zip codes, right, IP addresses, cell towers, triangulation, all those good pieces. With geofencing, we're no longer relying on the infrastructure itself, but we're now relying on the user's device to give us a longitude and latitude. Once that user authorizes us and gives us permission, right, that's a key fact, is that now we can use that longitude and latitude. 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, this is going to be in an in-app environment, right? So lots of gaming apps, sports apps, weather apps, news apps. Those are probably the leading categories of apps that we see that share location data. And with that, now we can say, well, we don't want the whole zip code, but we want a user more at the rooftop level. And another thing that Midco provides within their reporting, again, leaning on transparency of you should know that you got what you paid for always, right? There's no media out there, I don't think, that anybody would purchase if you didn't actually know where you were buying that billboard or what radio station or program you were going to be playing on, right? So same with digital, whether it's website level data, right, network level data with CTV, and same thing with geography. You should be able to say, I set a fence, and I can see that my impressions fell within that fence. So the difference with geofencing and standard what we call geotargeting uses infrastructure, geofencing uses the device itself, and the user, again, has to authorize us, and we have to be in an app in order to do that.
Awesome, Andrew, thank you. All right, we have another question. Does my digital consultant adjust my ad based on where they are seeing the most click-throughs or success of the ads? Or is that left to the client to decide in consultation with the consultant?
Yeah, great question on that as well. I mean, in the end, it's pretty much up to you as, you know, the client. It's your money, it's your program. We are here to advise you and to guide you with that. However, if you say take it and run with it, please do everything you can to optimize what we would call optimizations, right? Then we do that. We have an entire team of in-house folks who look and review campaigns every day, as well as machine learning algorithms, right, and platforms that go ahead and help us with that as well. So with that said, typically with a consultant in Midco, we're going to go back and we're going to review those results with you, those insights, talk to you about what's going well, and also what we should probably be shifting and changing to improve the performance of that campaign. But in the end, if you don't want something to happen or you do want something to happen, we'll always go with what your wishes are. We're simply here to advise you on best practices as well as what we know works within the digital ecosystem.
Thanks, Andrew. I have another question here, and it says, can I shift my campaign at any time?
Yeah, the answer to that is yes. You can shift your campaign at any time.
All right, I have another common question here about connected TV. It's where all can I place my ads on connected TV and how much does it cost?
Yeah, so great question. So as far as the cost, again, that really goes out to how many folks are we going out to get in front of. Those costs are all different per campaign and as well geography, right? Because connected TV definitely has different adoption rates across the country. As far as where does it place, we only place our connected TV on premium content providers. So those are going to be the standard, you know, linear folks that you see out there. We would call those networks. So we go direct buy to networks such as the ESPNs, you know, Food Networks, HGTV, all of those kind of cable networks that you would see today. And then we also leverage some aggregators such as Sling TV, there's Pluto TV, Samba TV, Fubo TV, lots of these what we call aggregators who in essence pull in all sorts of networks all into one platform or app of what they do. So as far as where we place, it's all professionally produced content, not user-generated content. So when we're talking about connected TV, it's not the YouTubes, it's not pre-roll, it's not you know, watered down in that sense with those types of video content providers. We really only go after those premium content providers that really are brand building.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, we have another question here. It says, who is your ideal customer for offering advertising services?
Who is your ideal customer for offering advertising services? I mean, as far as, you know, for us to go out and to advertise for somebody, and I mean, Lexi and Amy, feel free to jump in here as well, but our ideal customer is, you know, anyone who really is looking in need to get the word out about their business, to create change in their industry and in their marketplace. And we're here to help you, you know, find not only solutions, but also ways that we can continue to grow your business. So businesses that are looking for growth and looking to maintain and reach out to those folks that they currently have.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I would definitely add on to that. We all have clients that are are from every single industry. We do a lot for hiring, the food service industry, B2B, and small clients, large clients. That's what is so great about digital advertising, is that we have a solution for every business.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
All right, let's see. Any other questions that we have? I'm getting a message that we have another question, but I'm not able to see that one. A question that we get a lot, Andrew, is how would you recommend reaching the millennial audience?
Yeah, so as far as the millennial audience, with them, they're not, I guess what I would have to say with that is that I could tell you how we would go after them today. However, that continues to shift and evolve, as well as the Generation Z that's coming in now. Behaviors continue to change as technology continues to develop and really expand across the digital front. So as far as how we reach millennials today, it really is going across all screens. We find that millennials, when it comes to a screen, typically have multiple devices, and they typically still continue to consume, television. That could be on a streaming device, such as a Roku or an Apple TV. It could just be on their smartphone. It could be on the big screen, through a standard cable package as well. And contrary to popular belief, we still do see millennials out there, and they still do have standard cable, within their homes, and they simply use those devices based on, their preference at that time. So when we go out and go after millennials, it's really, again, going across screens, making sure that our content and our creative is short, concise, and to the point. Typically, they don't want to have a deep dive into the content that they're looking at. They simply want to get in there, and then they'll do the research on their own. So clear, concise, creative, touch them across screens, and then really just try to be where they spend the most of their time.
Thanks, Andrew. We're getting a lot of great questions. Our next one is, as for programmatic ads, what services or sites does Midco use to collect the data needed to deliver these ads?
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time, Amy?
Sure. So in reference to programmatic ads, what services or sites do we use at Midco to collect the data needed to deliver these ads?
Got it. So in terms of targeting, how do we target, if I'm understanding that question properly? So as far as where do we get the data to target, we get it from a host of third-party vendors, over 200 plus vendors. They could come from, folks like Experian or Nielsen or, the ComScores. Oracle obviously has bought up a lot of different data companies as well. But there are a host of different folks and even, folks like Live Nation, who are very big into concerts and tickets, also sell user data. So that's what we would consider third party. And then we also leverage a lot of your own data. So by placing pixels on your website, we're able to really look at folks who are currently engaging with your brand and your business and really try to model off of those. And you can do a lot of different things like lookalike modeling, audience matching. There's really just a very, very, very wider range of different tactics that come into play when we're gathering this data to be able to target users that are out there.
Thanks, Andrew. We have another question here. It says, on the reporting dashboard, what does visits mean?
Yeah, great question. So visits is the addition of clicks and then plus view-throughs. So clicks are just those folks who click on the ad and come right to our website. And then as well, view-throughs are folks that don't click on the ad but get to our website within a 30-day window. We really cap it at about 30 days because there's no studies out there or proven measures that have shown that anybody can recall an ad past 30 days. So that's why we really tend to set the limit at a 30-day period for view-throughs. but that really gives us the total visits, right? A long time ago, we used to focus on clicks. And while clicks are great, the majority of folks that we see out there on the web today do not click on banner ads and display ads. So as we go through that, we really want to also make sure that we're not just focusing on a metric and a measurement that only really weighs in for a small percentage of internet users, but how do we now see what type of effect we have with our advertising, with visits, right, which are those view-throughs, as well as engagements, interactions, and then really ultimately, we really want to do a comparison of our audience that's coming and interacting with us through that digital lift piece that we touched on.
Awesome. We have another question here about connected TV. The question is there a minimum buy? Do you choose one platform, or does it deliver across all options, Hulu versus Roku?
Yeah, great question. So as far as is there a minimum buy, no. Would we be looking at what's going to be effective for you? If you came and said, you know, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Consultant, I would like to spend $50, we would really have to evaluate what size of an audience you're looking at and if that's actually going to be effective for you. So is there a minimum? No. Are we going to guide you towards something that's going to actually work? Yes, absolutely, and that comes into our media planning stage. As far as do we go across one platform or all of them? No, we want to reach our audience across all of those different platforms. So, you know, Hulu is a content provider, right? They make their own shows, they produce content. Roku is not a content producer, although they have a Roku channel, and they do, in essence, bring in other pieces of content produced by, you know, different Sony Pictures, all sorts of other things. But we use all of those different ones. As far as the devices go, if it's out there for the most part, we're going to use it. The most common one is Roku, right? At well over 50% of the total streaming devices that are out there. Amazon Fire Stick would be probably second, and it kind of tiers down from that. But we do not select one. We don't run on only one. We really want to make sure that, again, we're building on good content providers and reaching that audience that you want to get in touch with.
Awesome, Andrew. Now we have one last question, and looks like there are more coming in. You guys are so good. Okay, well, and there's this question first. When using geofencing, how do you determine which app to use to serve the ad?
Yeah, great question. For the most part, we're going to run on a white list, right? Again, brand safe list of apps. The majority of those, again, are going to be gaming, weather, news, sports. Those are really the lion's share. We don't pick a single app, but one thing that we do look at within those apps is we want to make sure that we're buying geofence impressions with the highest level of accuracy. So every impression that goes out into this digital ecosystem actually comes with a longitude and latitude on it, but they're not all created equal. When we think about quality data, we call it 4s and 5s, but in essence what that means is that with each longitude and latitude there's a decimal point and digits that come after it to the right. And so when we go further out, that's the more accurate it becomes. If you buy what we would call 1 or a 2, you could be up to 10,000 meters away from your actual target location. Whereas with 4s and 5s, we're guaranteed to be within 10 meters of that actual longitude and latitude of that device. So as far as what app do we use quality ones that are out there that are top tier. And as far as what we're looking for is we're looking for one that gives us, again, only the most accurate geofencing data that can be provided.
All right, and here's our last question. Does Midco have a consultant that will come to our store and help us decide a budget and what channels work best for our business?
Yeah, and to answer that, absolutely. Midco does have quite a few consultants that will come to your business and they will sit down, they'll understand your needs, what you're trying to accomplish. They'll go back, make sure that they come up with a good solution, and then they'll come back to really present that solution to you and answer any questions you've got. I think the beautiful piece to add to that is that one that is a great offer that Midco, right, as consultants that we offer is the ability to go in there and develop a true media plan based on reach and frequency. And then as well, you also have reporting and regular reviews of your campaign to talk about what's going on, and again, what we can always continue to strive to improve with.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you for all of you who asked questions. Thanks for taking the time to type those into us. All right, Lexi, back to you.
Thanks, Amy. Okay, we just want to thank everyone for joining us today. If you do have any further questions after today's session or want to know more about our digital advertising services, there are 2 ways to do that. You can contact one of our ad sales managers and they will get you paired with your local consultant. Or you can fill out the Request a Consultation form online at midco.com/consults. Well, we had a lot of fun launching Midco's first advertising webinar with more insights yet to come this year. But if you can't wait until then, here's a list of more resources for you to check out on our website, including our recent white paper, Creating Your Integrated Advertising Strategy. The in-depth white paper talks about how to best combine your linear campaigns with your digital strategies. Plus, you'll find more useful information and knowledge written by our consultants and company thought leaders by visiting midco.com/insight center. Again, thanks for joining us. Just for being here today, your name will be entered to win a $200 gift card. If you've won, we will contact you via email. And again, we've recorded this webinar so you can use it for an ongoing tool and resource. We'll send you an email with a link to the recording later this week. When you exit the webinar, please take a few moments to complete our brief survey, which will appear on screen. It will help us determine what topics to cover in the future. We hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again.